Hello everyone, I'm getting ready to sell this F7 today. It's a lifelike and it keeps going click clack. So it's not very happy. I can't sell it like that, so we're gonna fix that today. I've got a parts one, so if I need parts I can use that. So that's gonna go on auction on eBay. The auction will end on March 24, 2024. So if you're watching the video after that, it's going to be too late for you, unfortunately. I'm still under the weather a little bit, but that doesn't mean I don't want to play with my trains. I still got a big stack of old model railroader magazine. This one's from August 1970, and there's a good article on that, all about F3 and the spotting differences. But it is nice to see all the different details and pictures of all these engines. Look at that. Most of the manufacturers, they do a very generic F3 or F7 or FT, but it's nice to see a lot of railroads have them, so that is really cool. So we're working on this very generic F7, and it runs, but it runs funky. So I think the only problems I have to worry about is in the gear. So I'm going to do a visual inspection under magnification to see if there's any dirt in there. That's always a probable cause. So I'm doing the visual inspection under magnification. I can't really see anything. Of course, being off the track, it's running pretty decent. But I can feel some vibration coming even though I can't see anything. I think it's from the front gear here. So it might be dirty, it might be broken. We're going to disassemble this and take an even better look at it. So I'm not seeing anything, but I'm feeling the vibration. So that's worth checking out. So 100% I'm feeling the vibration from this wheel right here. So maybe it's one of these gears or this gear that's causing the problem. So I'll just push out the retaining pin here. That also is the middle axle for one of the gears. I can tell I already went through this engine, cleaned it and lubricated. So that for sure isn't the issue. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the side frames. I'm going to do that gently, because you do not want to pull too hard on these because they're wired in to the frame, to the motor. That is very old school, like in the 50s. You know what's funny? I was watching some random videos on old trains, and there's guys that collect those HO scale Tyco starter set we all had. Also, I look at my analytics, and a lot of people make beginner videos, which if you look at your analytics, you see the people that are interested in trains are not that young. So there's still lots of people watching though, so that's kind of neat, but they're not exactly beginners at anything. So there, I don't pull too hard on the wires because I do not want to detach them. But that gets me in there so I can take a look at those gears. Here's the other trick that you can do. You start by removing the wheels. And that, I've done this a couple of times. I don't always do it. You can inspect all your gears just like that, with everything attached together. I usually do it like that, much quicker. But if you get into a bind, you have to pry on the wheels and they will come out eventually when they feel like it. You know, when in doubt, always just get a bigger pry bar. That solves every problem. Get a hammer and a pry bar, and that will solve every problem. Although you might wreck something. But sometimes it just feels good. That's the difference between working intellectually and working physically. When you have to do a physical labor, it makes you sweat. And it feels good. It feels good to get out there, get some exercise, sweat a little bit. Like chopping down trees, for example. If things go bad, you can always get the chainsaw out and finish your problem. Nice and easy. And then once you get to that stage, you get your wheels out, you can get these little contact strips out. But that requires a gentle touch. No pry bars or chainsaws here. So you just fiddle around with these. They do come out. We'll work on the other side just for now. So they do come out eventually. They just slide out. There, this one slid out, was pretty easy. There's a little tab that fits in a slit here. And then we'll slide out the other one. It's moving. So in a way I'm winning, just not very fast. And then once you got both of them out, you can pull away your gearbox very gently. But they do look a little bit dirty. I guess I have been running this. So I did reinstall this gear with its axle, and I'm running them with my finger. And they feel pretty good now, so I don't know, maybe I scared the dirt away. So what I'll do is I'll take everything apart again, and then you can see the factory grease that's still in there. I won't work very hard on it, but I will wash everything again with my toothbrush and some dish soap. I don't think I need to add any lubrication to this. I think still having the factory grease like that, is plenty of lubrication. So I'm not gonna wash the gearbox here. It has little white inserts here from the factory. They're stuck on the gearbox. I'm gonna leave it like that, but I will wash the gears. So it's nice and clean now. I'm just gonna put a little bit of my own oil, because you never know. Just a drop, that's all you need. Yeah, that's perfect. That's way too much. So I've got two axles, and I've got 3 of the little idlers. And then the 2 axles. Just make sure they're in there, they're lined up properly, because that always helps. And then the same thing, just 1 drop. You hardly need anything, but since I have it open, I may as well. And then I'll just line these up again. So that is never any kind of a race. You can take your time. So just make sure everything's lined up, and then when it's lined up, you'll know it'll go right back in. So this little top idler's trying to be a troublemaker. But I will fix that. So then once you got it lined up, it'll go together. Just like that. And then I'll put this top gear here. And that will allow me to spin them with my finger. Which is good because I want to do that. I want to make sure everything's smooth. Oh, I can still feel a little something. The only explanation for that is maybe one of the gears is bent somehow. That is interesting. So in order to find out which gear is causing the problem, I just put the first idler there. I just put that one in, and then I'll keep adding one gear at a time until I find which gear is causing the problem. So I put the second idler there. There's no problem yet. I think maybe I scared away the problem. It's working great both directions now. Can't feel anything whatsoever. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this all back together. Starting with the little contacts. The little contacts are gonna go on here. In their little slot on the side. And you don't need tons of tension on these, but you want to give them just a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot, but you still want your wheels to contact this. And that should be good enough. Or maybe a little bit more on this side. There. And then that side seemed to have a little bit of springy action on its own. No need to readjust that. Next step is your side frames. Next step is your wheels. Oh, and you get a chance to re-gauge everything while you're doing that. I have a Microtrain height gauge that I use, but you can also use a piece of track for this. I'll show you how to use a piece of track. So yeah, when you're working on your engines, you want to keep a piece of track. That is always handy. I have mine pretty close. So you just use your piece of track to check your gauge. You want them to have a lot of slack. You want them in there so your engine can move around. That allows it to go over switches easier. That's way too wide. Can't be having that. So you want it to have a lot of slack like that. That wasn't that hard. And then the side frames. So the side frames, I like to go like, yes, you know what? I have put them on backwards before. So check it out, be careful, because they do go on backwards. And your engine still runs. The engine doesn't need the side frames to run. So the engine still runs great. The only time is when you want to couple to another engine. If you want to couple to another engine, then you will know you have it upside down. Also, it looks kind of weird. Then we'll put this little gear in. It goes that way. And the little axle. So if you have trouble lining up the axle, you can use the wheels to line up your gear. And then you can line up the little axle. Stick it in there. And that will be that. it really wants to go in there, it just doesn't know it yet. And then I'll test it out on the bench again. So I'm trying my finger over it to see if I feel something bad. Give it some resistance. So right now it's reversing. So I'm going to have it move forward just to see. Actually feels real good going forward. Awesome. So it's running really good on the bench. Let's go try it on the track. As you put it back together though, be mindful of the little wires. They have a little hole here where they go. If they can't get in their hole properly, they will interfere with the shell, and your shell will not go in properly. So you want to make sure that you got the two little wires in their little path on each side, and then you can put on the shell. I can see this one's not quite right. It's got to go in and out like that. So that has to be good. And I want it to be perfect. Then my shell does have the two horns, but it's missing a part of the pilot here. That makes it a little bit easier to put back together. But yeah, these compared to the Bachmann of the same period, the gears don't crack. So that makes them superior, I think. And the outline of the windows is not quite correct, but neither is the Bachmann. If you want to get a perfect engine, you have to get something high-end like Kato. Alright, let's go on the track. Well, alright, now I can sell this and feel good about it. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you soon.